There's no winning in an infinite game, and build your own bench. In this video, Simon Sinek explains there are predictable results when we play an infinite game with a finite mindset and provide resources to the advancement of leaders from all backgrounds.
My latest obsession is this concept of finite and infinite games. And I've mentioned finite mindedness or infinite mindedness a couple times while we've been discussing. This goes back to the mid-1980s. A philosopher and theologian by the name of Dr. James Carse defined these two types of games, finite games and infinite games. A finite game is defined as known players, fixed rules, and an agreed upon objective. Football. There's always a beginning, middle, and an end. And if there's a winner, that means there have to be losers. Then there are infinite games. Infinite games are defined as known and unknown players, which means new players can join at any time. And sometimes you don't even know who all the other players are. The rules are changeable, which means every player can play however they want. And the objective is to perpetuate the game, to stay in the game as long as possible. We are players in infinite games every day of our lives, whether we know it or not. Nobody wins education, for example. You can come in first for the finite amount of time you're at school when we agree upon the time frame, the school year, and we agreed upon the metric, grades. But nobody wins education. And likewise, nobody wins business. There's no such thing as winning business. It doesn't exist, right? But when we listen to the language of so many of our leaders, it becomes abundantly clear that they don't always know the game they're playing in. They talk about being number one, being the best, or beating their competition. Based on what? Based on what agreed upon timeframes, metrics, and objectives. And this is a problem because when we play with a finite mindset in an infinite game, when we play to win in a game that has no finish line, there are actually some very predictable and consistent outcomes. The big one being the decline of trust, the decline of cooperation, and the decline of innovation. And so we actually have to adjust our mindset to fit the game that we're playing. And in the case of cybersecurity, you're actually trying to prevent crime from happening. The criminals aren't trying to beat you. They're just trying to do more. They're just trying to get more money. They're just trying to trick people. They just want access. They actually don't care about you and your cybersecurity. They're just trying to do more crime, right? It's an infinite game. And you don't even know who all the criminals are. There's no such thing as winning cybersecurity. It doesn't exist. It's an ongoing cat and mouse game. And so you have to have the right mindset for the game you're playing. And in this case, it's not about winning, it's about constant improvement. And it goes back to that analogy that we discussed right at the beginning when we talked about the lifestyle of business versus trying to treat it like a finite game, right? Which is, it's not the end of the financial year doesn't symbolize the end of the game. It's just a marker. It's just a waypoint.
Games can be classified as either finite or infinite. Finite games have well-defined beginnings and finishes, distinct winners and losers, and explicit rules. Endless game contains ambiguous rules, no distinct victory, and participants can alter their strategy at any time. To continue playing as long as you can in the goal, there is no end to the game of business, which involves players using various techniques. Businesses use multiple criteria to define winning, such as market share, revenue, or customer satisfaction. While the infinite game continues, businesses form, develop, and go out of the business. Change your focus from winning every quarter to creating robust organizations that can last for many decades if you want to be successful in the endless game. Business success does not exist. It isn't possible. There is no such thing as winning business. We can achieve successes within a company just like you can win conflicts. Too many business owners and leaders don't understand the game they are playing, and this is a problem. They brag about dominating their rivals, becoming the best, and being number one, based on which accepted metrics, based on which mutually agreed upon timelines. There is nothing like it. There are a few extremely constant and predictable things that occur when we play the endless game with a finite mindset. You will observe a gradual deterioration in inventiveness, cooperation, and trust over time. Your group will eventually lack the motivation or funding to continue. If we are serious about fostering diversity in our workplaces, we must have a long-term perspective. Games with limitless time horizon exist. Therefore, there is no such thing as winning an infinite game because there is no objectively defined end of the game. The main goal of an endless game is to continue playing and keep the game going.
If you have somebody in a leadership position who literally doesn't respect diversity and inclusion, the question is why are they in a leadership position? So it's a bit of a loaded question. Now, I understand the challenges. If you do things with intention, if there's an intention to go out and find something, you're more likely to find it. And I also think what companies with resources can do is build their own bench, which is go to universities, invest in the programs that will train the people, train, in this case, as you said, some gender diversity so that they have the skills, and then and offer them the potential for jobs when they come through the program. So you set them up. In other words, build your own bench. Because I've heard this from companies before, which is, we'd love to, but the talent's not there. So go build the bench. If you have a long-term approach to this stuff, it's not about solving a problem in a month. It's about solving a problem so that it's sticky, so that it's not just a reaction, but rather it becomes inculcated and built into the fabric of the company. And I go back to leadership training again, which is what good leaders recognize is that a diverse workforce brings diversity of points of view. If everybody looks like me, went to a similar school as me, was brought up like me, then we're all going to have kind of similar points of view on some of the challenges we face. But when we have people with different racial backgrounds or different genders, some people who grew up in Europe versus America or rich versus poor, they bring entirely new perspectives based on their worldview to a problem. And the more diverse perspectives we have on any challenge means the more options we have to solve that problem. And this is not surprising to me that when you say when we have more diversity, we're actually better at the thing we're trying to do. That makes perfect sense. And so I think one of the things to do is for senior management to hammer away that this is essential for us, it's important for us, and that leaders are going to be expected to embrace this, that we're going to be judging our leaders and their ability to do this, to build more diverse teams, and to go out into the marketplace before some of these young people start looking for jobs and start training them in the skills that you want.
Business success does not exist. It is not possible. There is no such thing as winning business. We can achieve successes within a company just like you can win conflicts. Too many business owners and leaders don't understand the game they are playing, and this is a problem. They brag about dominating their rivals, becoming the best and being number one, based on which accepted metrics, based on which mutually agreed upon timelines. There is nothing like it. There are a few extremely constant and predictable things that occur when we play the endless game with a finite mindset. You will observe a gradual deterioration in inventiveness, cooperation, and trust over time. Your organization will eventually lack the money or the will to continue, therefore, you must have the bravery to take the reins. To state there's bad for business and I'm going to do it differently requires courage. You might get the knave and business illiterate labels. You may claim that they are playing a game that are not aware of. That requires a lot of bravery. Imagine living in a society where almost everyone wakes up motivated to work, feels respected and trusted at work, and goes home feeling satisfied and proud of what they have accomplished. Doing it is difficult. If a leader does not make an effort to foster trusting teams, you will have a team of individuals that come to work every day hiding and acting dishonestly. They are concealing their errors. They are acting as though they are competent when they are not. They won't ever admit they need assistance, and eventually things will stop working. We are social creatures at our core, and we depend on one another. Together we are better. By ourselves we are useless. Under those circumstances, the leader must create that climate. Hence, it is similar like bearing children. Your kids are not up for selection. Also, you don't always get to pick your squad. You must trust and love your team members no matter who your children are or who makes up your family. I hate it when leaders tell their followers you have to earn my trust. Actually, it's the exact opposite. To gain their trust, you must first demonstrate your ability to do so. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. For more videos, like these and please subscribe.